We're going to start first by requesting that this board open the meeting for this evening.
I make a motion that we open the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation meeting for October 9th, 2013.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Charlie, you ready?
First sign, Mr. Chair.
Wait. Welcome to the October 9th, 2013 meeting of the Architectural Board of Review and Historic Preservation. My name is Curtis Highsmith, and I am your chair. Introduce our panel. We have Ham Hogue, Esther Pastor, Christina Redding. Unfortunately, Brian Brady will not be here this evening, nor will our our legal counsel, Bill Robinson, but we do have our historic consultant, Zach Studenroth, and Antoinette, as always. Thank you for being here. We're going to start this evening's meetings with signs, and first application, please.
Chairman, North Shore Eye Care, corner of Old Town Road and Meeting House Lane, for 2 signs, 1 on each corner.
Hi.
Hello, Ronald Fisher, if you have any questions.
Okay. First, which would be the actual, I guess this is for the yard sign?
Yeah, there's going to be 2 freestanding signs. The
Two
property's on a
freestanding.
corner.
Wood, white background, black lettering?
Yes.
This is the font.
Yes, and that there is some blue in it, but just for the eye.
Christine, any comments?
No, I think it's nice and clean.
Esther?
I like it.
Ham?
No. 2 signs on the same corner. I know you legally have the right to do that, but 1 sign is traditional. An apex of a corner would be more traditional for that area of the village. It's residential mixed in with the hospital use. I'd like to see the applicant go back and take a look at it, because these are 2 separate signs on 4x4 posts that are up 60 inches or 5 feet in the air. The eyeball doesn't belong on a professional, as a logo on a professional sign either, especially down in an area that's inundated with signage, emergency signage, and lighting and so forth, and right plopped in the middle of a residential area. So 1, I would ask them to come back and do 1 corner sign, which I'd prefer. In any event, either way, if I don't have the votes or the opinion, I would at least get rid of the 2 eyes, which are in-term logos. Pretty
Christine,
soon
do you
we'll
have any issue with the 2
teeth,
signs?
eyes, ears, and everything else up on signs.
Do you have any issue with the 2 signs?
I really don't.
Esther?
I don't.
I have no opposition as well. Is any public comment? Okay, motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the sign application for North Shore Eye Care, corner of Old Town Road and Meeting House Lane. 2 signs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Next application, please.
Mr. Chairman, there are 2 applications further on this. Southampton Hospital Foundation at 57 Hampton Road, and also a second sign on that address for Meeting House Medical Practice for Applied Lettering. I have no issue with either one of these.
Okay.
I'm here if you have questions, but
These are freestanding
pin
letters,
letters,
correct?
yeah,
Pin
they'll be
letters.
stud mounted flush right into the building.
Right. No background signage, no logos, clear, clean,
A swish mark, but
There's
that's
a swish mark.
Yeah.
no eyeballs.
Okay. No eyeballs.
Okay. Christine, any comments?
No.
I have no issues.
No.
I have no issues with the signs. Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the sign for Southampton Hospital Foundation at 57 Hampton Road, and also Meeting House Lane Medical Practice at 57 Hampton Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Concludes our sign permits for this evening. First application, historic.
Chair, application Susan Lillywhite, closed for a public hearing. I believe there's an original instrument.
Application is closed for written decision by council, who has prepared such. Motion to approve written decision by council.
I make a motion that we approve the written decision by our counsel for Susan Lillywhite at 68 Jobs Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application, please.
Next application is for Anthony Guaras, 130 Hill Street for second-story additions. There's a written decision in front of you for the original instrument.
Motion to approve written decision by council.
I make a motion that we approve the written decision by our counsel for Anthony Gunaris at 130 Hill Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application is 354 South Main Street LLC. There's a written decision, original instrument in front of you. I'm going to abstain from this application as I was originally somewhat involved in the project, but no longer am.
Motion to approve written decision by council.
I make a motion that we approve the written decision by our council for 354 South Main Street LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Next application is near 40 Meadowmere Lane for demolition of
Meadow
all
Lane.
structures. Meadow Lane, rather, for demolition of all structures.
For the applicant? We had a very complete presentation at the last meeting, and I just assumed that you wanted to hear Zach's comments, so.
Zach, we empowered you to go and do a report, site visit on the application. Were you able to do so?
I did make a visit.
Do you want to read that?
Do you want to
Yeah.
discuss your presentation?
I did not.
Please hold. Those that have cell phones, we need you to power them down. They can't be on any mode other than powered down. Would you please do so? Okay. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah. I did make a site visit on Monday, and I did not have time to submit a written report, although there's an ample amount of reports that are in the file that certainly address certain issues or conditions associated with this application. First, I want to thank the applicant for giving us the opportunity to look at the interior. As you know, that's not a provision of the code. When a structure of this sort is being represented or presented as being in extremely deteriorated condition, really the only way to ascertain that is to go inside. And so that presents a predicament and an occasion for that. So I'm grateful to have had that opportunity. In the file, there are no less than three different engineers are represented here, one twice on 2 occasions, submitting reports as to the structural integrity of the building, which they unanimously agree is beyond salvage in terms of their assessment, as well as a report from Davis Construction, which is perhaps the most interesting to me because these are the guys that end up having to lift the building, and so theirs is in some cases less than theoretical. It's quite practical and real. There's also in the file is this report from Lewis Berger Group, utilizing Stephen Bedford as their architectural historian. I guess you're all familiar with all of this that's in here. I do want to comment briefly on this because I think this is somewhat confusing. This is a report that's titled History and Architectural Integrity of the Building. Okay. No one's challenging the historical associations, and that would be the historical integrity. Mr. Bedford discusses the structural integrity in a way that agrees with the assessment by the engineers. But structural integrity is something quite different from architectural integrity. And I'll just briefly explain my understanding of that. He goes on to describe the house in a way that I think is not accurate. He finds many small bedchambers. In fact, this is an unusual building. It was built as a boarding house. It was built as a summer vacation destination on the beach in Southampton. It is not a private home. It's not a home that has an interesting, gracious central hall with dining room and living rooms, etc., and a kitchen that you then rise upstairs to the bedchambers. That's not what this was built to be. That's not what it is. In fact, it retains a very high level of architectural integrity, even if the physical or structural condition of those rooms is challenging. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that why this building is important is it's, at least in my experience, the only structure left down there on the beach which is of this type. It was not an old house that was repurposed to become a boarding house. I can cite many instances of that. The Village House out in Oyster Ponds, etc. Many old houses are enlarged to fulfill this new purpose of the summer, people coming in the 1880s and 90s, and now we're going to let rooms in the summertime for people that are willing to get away from the city. This is a house, apparently, along with several others, purposely built to serve the summer community. And so for Mr. Bedford to say that the structural condition of this takes away from its architectural integrity, I think is a misunderstanding of what the building's about. This isn't to say that it's in better condition for it, it's just, it is what it is. I found some wonderful sleeping porches with all the hooks where you hang your hammocks, and I mean, I came away from that house thinking, boy, what a place that was at one point. So that's that. And I just want to get on the record the fact that, as far as I can see, the historical and architectural integrity of the building is quite wonderful. It doesn't need to be in good condition to be considered as such. The application to demolish is based not upon the building lacking in historical or architectural interest. It's based upon the fact that the applicant perceives it to be beyond repair. It's beyond salvage. The engineers state as much. So that moves us into an area in which economics play a part. You know, what would be a reasonable cost to preserve this building? That has nothing to do with who built it and what it was built for and how many old moldings are still there. How much is it going to cost? And it may well be that the applicant can amply illustrate the fact that the cost of saving and restoring this building is unreasonable, is beyond reason. But I don't think there's anything in the application per se that demonstrates that fulfills that aspect of it. And that's not my area to consult about. So I feel that that's something that's missing in this application, which is a justification of the costs, and also has anyone been, what is the due diligence that has been undertaken to find such a person? Not all people that restore old houses are normal. Not all people that love old houses do so because this is what other people do. It's what they want to do. And I won't describe all the old houses that I've had that I've fixed up and lived in, because that's not the point of it here. So I just want to point out that there are those elements here. What is the effort to get someone the proper match for that house who wants to save it? The person who has the means who just wants to do that? Maybe there is no such person. But I feel that that's an issue here, because clearly the costs of saving this house are an aspect of the judgment that it is beyond repair.
I think that's the applicant's presentation, that I don't think the hardship was the request. It's just that the structure as it stands right now is unable to be repaired.
What I would
In
say
the condition that it can be.
implicit within that argument is the cost of doing so. Because anyone who works with old buildings, especially old wooden buildings, knows that any piece of wood can be repaired. Any piece of wood can be replaced. Any piece of wood can be found useful. Any old molding can be replicated if that's what's gone missing. What I'm saying is there has to be some economic argument associated with that we can't fix it. Because any amount of old wood can be fixed. It's a question of how much wood has gone that needs to be fixed, and what is the reasonable cost associated with that. That's the way I see the argument.
Okay, so playing devil's advocate, if enough of the original structure requires replacement, then it's not the original structure, and therefore.
Okay. Well, that would certainly factor in.
Okay.
But I can think of more than one old house in this village that has been substantially reconstructed in the name of being restored, both inside and out. I can think of numerous examples of that. So you know,
If I may.
yeah,
Wait
that's
till,
my.
just
that's-
when, yeah, are you done?
Just
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I had a question for Zach, though.
Yeah.
That's one, sorry, John, just let me, how many houses, or how many properties where the house is totally visible from the street are there between, say, Halsey Neck Lane and Old Town?
How many actual houses are there?
Houses are visible from the public right-of-way without entering the property from Halsey Neck Lane on the beach side to
Mhm.
Old Town.
Well, I have to go out and,
This is the only one.
how many
With the
contributing?
exception of the Bathing Corporation and the Dune Church. Is there any impact on visibility? I asked you this question as regards to
Yep.
another application, 51 Pond Lane, since it was up and exposed and so forth, different situation.
Yeah.
Has any of the public right-of-way viewpoints from the ocean side or the Meadow Lane side, does that impact on this house as far as if it were not repaired? Are there any priorities, or would you prioritize, like the addition that this report is claiming that it was put on, the one-story addition on the west side?
On
Is
the,
that on the, west
on
side,
the west side. yeah.
southwest?
I don't think you see.
Or the
yeah.
types of pitches that you have, and it's a Queen Anne style, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
There's sleeping porches on the south side, there's sleeping porches, or if you will, walkout balconies
Right.
on the north side.
Mhm.
I know the house very well, I've worked next door to it, I've actually worked on Grace's house before,
Mhm.
20, 30 years ago or more. The point I'm asking is this, anything can be fixed and so forth, but what you're asking are two things, right? You're asking for the applicant to come up with a reasonable assessment of what the cost would be. What would we relate that to? And why? Cost of repair. I mean, what are we relating it to? The house is on the market, everybody knows, for over 12 million, and it's contingent upon this board's approval for demolition.
Which is irrelevant
That's not
to,
an
which is
issue.
It's pretty
irrelevant.
relevant, because you're just,
Not,
well, no, if I may, Mr.
okay.
Chair. You've asked to compare the cost of repairing something or
Yeah.
restoring.
Right.
So what's the benchmark? I guess is my question. And the
Okay.
second part of the question was, on the right-of-ways and so forth, are there elements that are more dominant than others, or is the whole structure as important as itself, as all the elements, I should
Okay, well,
say?
one of the rights of way is the.
You understand the two questions?
Yeah.
Okay,
One of the rights of way that you referenced is the ocean side or the beach.
right.
Fortunate thing about this house, which I think explains why it still stands, is it is so well protected by a very high dune, such that if you're standing on the beach, out on the southerly side of it, I think all you would see would be the second story on the roof above it.
Right.
Well, there's 2 stories, story and a half below that, so you don't see that from that side. And I suppose you see the whole facade from Meadow Lane side if you're positioned properly.
Right.
But I frankly don't see how much of the house you see from which right-of-way has
Anything to do with it?
anything to do with it.
Got it. And as far as the cost or the benchmark, is
Well-
that something that this board can do or is typically done, or no?
Typically, economic hardship, which I didn't articulate myself, you did, Curtis, I didn't use that expression. Typically, an economic hardship case is made when an applicant is looking for a reasonable return on their investment. Okay. And then you get into not an anticipated return, rather a reasonable one. In the case of purchase of a private home for private use, it's extremely hard to determine what is one's reasonable return on that investment. Is it living there happily for the next 50 years? You're going to amortize the cost of that over those number of years? I have no idea. I'm not an economist. I'm an architectural historian.
So it's something that this
So-
board should avoid as well, correct?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that the argument that a wooden house is beyond salvage, is beyond repair, has a dollar value associated with that assertion, does it not? What building at what point isn't worth fixing? When in fact, I think we could all agree that virtually anything made out of wood can be fixed. If the cost of repairing that house is virtually equal to the cost of replacing it, for example, then I would say that's unreasonable. Because what's to be gained? The whole building is replaced, it's not old anymore, so that makes absolutely no sense.
Thank you.
That would be one issue. I'm not trying to make the case, I'm simply bringing this up
Right.
because none of those issues are represented by any engineer
In the
or any
application.
house mover. Okay, that's the first point. And the second point, which goes to the economics, is if this particular property, okay, you brought up that it's for sale. Okay. If this particular property has been marketed for resale for an extended period of time, and the feedback from that, the due diligence has been made to find a willing buyer who just loves that old house, and that process has been gone through for some period of time with no takers, then
Please.
then I think it's reasonable, but again, that presentation hasn't been made. Then it may be reasonable to say, you know what, this place is, beyond.
I just wanted to
That's what
clarify.
I'm saying, those are the economic.
In other words, we've all known the house has been on the market for quite a long time and so forth, and that effort has been made. That's all I was questioning.
I'd say those are the things that I feel are lacking in this presentation that would be convincing in terms of, can someone, anyone, imagine preserving, restoring, rebuilding, whatever it's going to take to save this thing.
Thank you.
Rebuttal?
If I may. I'm glad this discussion has come up. I'm somewhat surprised that you haven't been satisfied with what I presented to you, and I'll tell you why.
John, I didn't say I wasn't satisfied.
No.
I was just bringing up,
Well, okay, I appreciate it. The house has been on the market for a long time. The house is currently under contract from the descendants of the Cutting family who are here this evening, some of them, to Niermeyer, my client. And no one has been willing, understandably, all you have to do is get within 5 feet of this house to realize that no one is going to buy this house without it being torn down, because it's quite literally unsafe. As a matter of fact, John Foster said to me in a conversation, I'll represent this to you, that I think I would have a hard time if I issued a renewal certificate of occupancy on it, it would probably have to say uninhabitable on it. And he does do that sometimes. It's for the purposes of the preservation of the footprint. Okay, it is under contract. The contract is.
I don't need to know the contract, but
No.
it's clear
I just want to
that
say it's contingent upon a tear down. No one has been willing to buy it without it being torn down, and I think the reason is obvious. Now, let me talk to you about repair. I've heard everybody say many times, and I've read a fair amount of architectural historians. I've read a lot about preservation. Replication is not preservation, which is why I stressed at the last meeting Lemansky's summing up his 2 inspections. Because sometimes you can go to a house and the windows are, I've been involved in a couple of houses on Agawam where we went in, Zach said, those windows are wonderful, I want to be able to save those. These might have to be repaired, but we can probably rework these. Listen to this. The roofing and siding have passed the end of their useful life and will have to be replaced. And he's just echoing the 2 other reports as well, of 2 separate engineers. The windows and the doors are beyond repair and would have to be replaced. So a lot of times those charming windows with the glass that they don't make anymore.
No, we understand the house is a disaster.
I know, but this is how I've responded. The porches and the railings are deflected, rotted, and are falling apart, would have to be replaced. The soffits and trim have passed the end of their useful life and would have to be replaced. The foundation, all the floors, the roof rafters, the floor joists would have to be replaced in their entirety, and on and on and on and on and on. Excuse my French, but what the hell are we even talking about here?
John, I didn't-
You're talking about, no, let
You're
me
the one
finish.
that's coming
We're
up to the
talking about an
podium.
absolute replacement, stick by stick, of this house, and that is not preservation. That's going. That's
What Zach is referring
challenge the
to.
conclusions of these reports.
What Zach is
but I'm saying I don't have
John,
to have an
John,
economic.
excuse me,
Well,
excuse
let me
me.
finish. It's my record as well. I don't have to put economic evidence in if I've demonstrated that
If you're talking
nothing
about
is.
procedure, we're just talking procedurally, and I believe that's what you're referring to, the procedure of the presentation of this application. If it is an application for a tear down, and you're saying that the reason why you're tearing it down is because it, quite frankly, cannot be repaired, it has to be replaced, then there's a dollar amount that goes along with that. It's a hardship. It's an overexertion of revenue that has to be put into the house to fix it or repair it or replace it. And you're saying, and I want to make sure that Zach understands what you're saying. He's saying, well, he's replacing everything, so there is no hardship because it's not repairable, it's replacing. So that's where we're butting heads and going back and forth.
I don't know that we are butting heads. If I can demonstrate to you that none of the house is worth salvaging, then if you're not preserving anything, it's a replica, and that's not what historic preservation is about. The Stanford White, the James Breeze house over there has been well maintained, but it's also over the years, it's constantly been reworked and rebuilt. That is not this house. If you took that house and everything had gone to pot and you replaced it in kind, stick by stick, that is not preservation. You can drive through towns in Europe that were bombed to rubble. Nothing. They've been replicated,
Understood.
but they haven't been preserved. This is essentially the same thing. So what's the economics? Okay, it's almost trying to prove a negative. Typical house construction in the estate area, 650, 750, 800 a square foot, 6,000 square foot house. Why make me go through that? There's your proof.
Understood. Understand your
And from an economic point of view, again, the house has been on the market, no takers, because no one in their right mind, if you'd been through this house, would buy this house or even attempt to preserve it because there ain't nothing left to preserve. And I don't say that lightly because I've been through this board and worked long and hard on applications where we've said, can we take this part down, but we're going to preserve this. I know how that process works. That's not what we're talking about here. And so it's an application. It's a two-part application. It's also an application because we just don't think it doesn't have any of the elements that would suggest that it should be preserved. And again, obviously experts can disagree with that, and I respect Zach's opinion. Our historical consultant has reached a different opinion. But I would like the hearing closed and a determination made. I've spent a lot of money on experts. I don't see any reason for me to have to prove something that is patently obvious, which is nothing. Nothing is worth preserving at this piece of property.
Understood.
If any of you folks have visited it, it's like what they call in law school res ipsa loquitur. It speaks for itself. So I respectfully request, after you hear any public comment, that you close the hearing and give us a decision.
Very good. Zach,
And if you
anything
want me
further
to
before I go
submit
to
a
public
copy of the contract of sale, I don't have a
necessary.
problem with that.
Not necessary. Again, I must say, when it comes to how long the property has been listed for, I understand what you mean, being that it's significant, but it can't be a determination of this board on the sale and sellability of the property unless you're presenting a hardship case.
No,
But that's what, you're not presenting the hardship case. Zach, anything further?
No.
Any public comment? Please step forward.
Hello, my name's Susan Sherry Clark, and I live in an old house, about the same vintage, but not of the same historic caliber. So, and I guess the saying is, where there's a will, there's a way.
Can I have the address of the speaker, please, for standing purposes? I'm entitled to it.
Your address, ma'am.
Where there's a will, there's a
I
way.
have the address. I'm entitled to the address of the speaker.
I asked.
And you did ask, and she just ignored you, so if I could have her address.
Give us a second, please.
Why is that important?
Because you probably don't have standing because you live on Hampton Road, about a mile and a half, 2
So,
miles away.
you know the dialogue back and forth.
Well, I'd like to have.
I understand what you're asking
statement.
for. She also has the right to say no.
She's a village resident.
She's a village resident.
It has no
The
issue
name of your
to-
street, ma'am.
to where I live. I'm interested in historic preservation, and I'm a village resident. So,
I understand. She has the right to say no. I can't force her to give her address on record.
She doesn't
I
have
understand.
standing. Okay.
okay. And I guess because of other applications about a demolition coming, later on the agenda, which I think has been changed, but I just don't want this one to get lost in the shuffle because I think it's really an important one. And I'm glad Zach had a chance to go in, and I really feel by code that there should be an interior inspection for anything that's in the historic district, or if it is a structure that's 75 years or older, because often the AYB, the approximate or actual year built are wrong, and I've seen it. I've done property research, and I've seen it over and over. They'll say it was born in 1961, but they'll have a certificate of occupancy before 1957, and then an affidavit saying that their parents bought it in 48. So unless somebody actually goes in and sees it, there's really no way of knowing. And I think demolition of a structure of this caliber in the historic district really sends a wrong message. And I think by code that the homeowners are required to not allow it to fall into disrepair. So if you have structures in historic districts that fall into disrepair, it's almost demolition by neglect, and that's just a term, not that this was neglected, but a term that it could happen. They just neglect it. You'll say it's in disrepair, and then it'll be up for becoming demolished. And that was Southampton Village Code 6510B. And I say if this one's allowed to be demolished, what's to follow? Because it's very visible from Meadow Lane as you drive by. It always has been. People know that structure. And if something is just demolished to me, I think of Hildreth, and I think of St. Andrew's Church on the Dune, that anything could be demolished. If somebody comes in and says that they fall into disrepair, and there's so many different structures that are just such a fabric of our community that it'd be a shame to lose them. And if this one's lost, I ask myself, what next? And you may ask yourself the same. And I think because in the brochure that the Village of Southampton is a certified local government CLG, and it was established in 1966, there are 24 in the state, that it is administered by the New York State Office of Historic Preservation. And I was wondering if they had been contacted, since this is on their inventory. Have they been contacted in any way? Is there any legal ramifications for that? So that's just a question that I have. And I ask that you keep it open and really do due diligence to protect the historic integrity of the Southampton Village Historic District. And I guess maybe possibly a historic structures report with a percentage of what needs to be replaced, and actually more specifics might be really important. Because I saw the photographs, that are online with the real estate ones, and I know it may not look exactly like that, but I saw some really wonderful, wonderful elements just in those. So I really ask you to keep it open and do due diligence. Thank you.
Just want to address
Thank you.
Two things that you said, and we had to do with code. We do not have jurisdiction to go in doing
That's what. But I'm suggesting that may. Yeah.
It has been something that we have discussed, and obviously our code is quite, at some points, antiquated, and we're looking to do revisions to it to make it a little more of a living structure in current days applications. But it's not something we are looking at today. If we have done any interior investigation, it's been requested of the applicant to do so for their own purposes and investigations. We were invited, but it's not something we
I think that's
typically
wonderful.
do. So I want to make sure you understand that.
And I didn't until Zach. I've read the code, but not. I haven't been through that part. But if something's lifted and put on a cement foundation, nobody would know it could be a 1700s house. And if you go in,
and the second thing you mentioned about notifying the National Registry, no, it's not part of the application that we do as such. If you wish, as a concerned party, to do so yourself, we can't. We have nothing to do with that actual process. But we have not notified any other, and there would be no reason for us to notify any.
I guess I just read the brochure, and because of the certified local government, and said it was
CLG
administered.
looks like it's the same, but it's not. Mr. Chair, one thing. Look, this is not the first demolition application
Sure.
we've had in the village, and I know, and a lot of people who are here know that house has been maintained as to the best of the ability of the homeowner. Considering that it's on the ocean, it takes a hell of a beating up there. There hasn't been, to my viewpoint anyway, having been on this board for over a decade or more, there is a hardship here in a field that it's been on the market for quite some time. There is a cost involved that's exceptional. The fact that we've had this house for so many years, it's been patched and maintained, is a great gift. But there is also a firm belief that I have in practice that I've had that there's an owner's rights here too. And, to me, this is any application in a historic district for a demolition is a very, very serious matter. And I think the applicant has emphasized their seriousness in providing several, not one or two, but several engineering reports and also contract reports, which I'm very familiar with. We've all, I think, looked through these reports, and I know Brian has, although he's not here tonight. And I think this is the most thorough example of, in my mind, a building that is well beyond the ability of this board, in my view, to pursue any further action in terms of asking this applicant for additional information.
I guess it's just, and I say an independent one, because you could actually have an engineer often come in and give you two different opinions. I want to
Agreed,
save it, it's
agreed. And we've
great. I
seen
don't
that
want to save it, oh, it's horrible.
Which is the
With
reason
due
why we
respect,
say-
we've seen
Right.
that. We've seen that so
Right,
many
I'm
times
sure of that.
before,
Right.
and that's all the more reason. And we're very particular, careful with this. This is a board that has got a lot of pressure on it to, more importantly, save the history and the fabric of this village. We take this very seriously.
Thank you.
The fact that, just to close, the fact that there happens to be two demolition applications at the same time frame, the same quarter of the year, if you will, doesn't mean that we're not paying any more or less attention to either one of them.
Thank you.
But, and then if it comes to be, there are also green demolitions, and I don't want to get into discussing demolitions, but there are different ways to
Yep.
to preserve historic, aspects of the home. But I would just hope that the house itself could be and would be preserved, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any additional public comment? Christine, do you have any comments?
No. Well, I do, yes. I read the engineer's report carefully. We have 3 different engineers' reports and a report from a house mover. I think it's apparent that if we tried to repair this house, we'd have to replace everything. There's no way, there's nothing to preserve there.
Esther?
I have the report in front of me. It is very sobering. From Davis Construction, Condon Engineering, Maresca, Southampton Engineering. These are all very, very reputable companies in Southampton that really know their business. And while I feel it's a tremendous loss to the village to lose this house, I would agree that we would end up with a replica, not an authentic house. And it makes me very sad, but I cannot see how that I can vote to deny this permit.
I think all board members said it all. The only thing I can suggest, but not make not making a recommendation. I'm sorry, not making any demands, but just a suggestion is that some of the original integrity of the building be replicated in any design that's being presented before for the future design, so that we are losing a relic. We are losing a standing asset to the village. So if there's a way that, for honorable sake, replicating some of the original architecture
Of the
and to
texture.
My client has hired Stuart Diston, and one of his charges is to try to preserve some of the feeling and integrity of the home. And of course, that you'll be the best judge of that, because we have to come before you for the approval of the house. So I obviously understand that you'll be that's the sort of things you'll be looking for, and that's his charge. This is decidedly not someone who is going to attempt to build a contemporary design. That's a very
just so
broad.
you know, this
That's a very broad.
board probably
scale,
would
but, yeah.
not be in favor of.
Exactly. I
So
understand.
Can I
please
just-
step forward.
I'm Laura Nigro. I've been involved with this house for quite some time, and the new potential buyer near me said that Zach liked the Lazy Susan in the kitchen, anything that he felt that might want to be in the Historical Museum, anything from the house. The new owner is very willing to pay for it, to bring those items to the museum. Anything that he feels inside that he'd like to keep, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, it's
Can
very
you
sweet.
just also follow up on something that Zach said, where he suggested photographs of the house that we could keep at the museum? And
Yeah, I think the best gift to the village in terms of preserving, let's say, the legacy or the memory of this particular building would be to do a pretty good photographic survey when it's empty of what it looks like before it's lost, because this goes back to it being an unusual house. It's not just a big 2.5-story pile down on the beach that has big rooms and, you know, falling apart newel posts, etc. This is a very distinct house type, as I said, with these small bed chambers, and they're all what we call ensuite these days. New terminology, but there it is. People each had their little bed chambers and their bathrooms, and that's what they were renting for a couple of months. So it's an unusual floor plan, unusual details. So the best way to kind of preserve that, aside from a few architectural relics, would be to do a photographic
Can we get in a
record of
photo?
it.
Can we get?
I'd be more than happy if
Very
you
good.
could condition any permit, as I've requested, on such a preservation.
I don't think you need to condition it, but provide it would be nice.
Just a catalog of.
Catalog. You've done it in the past, John.
Photographic inventory would be.
Any more public comment? Don't want to labor over because it seems the board has a consensus. So at this point, you understand the procedure. In Historic District requires written decision by council. He's not here this evening, but we'll have the notes, records, and minutes from this meeting. So at this point, we'll adjourn for written decision and have our council prepare that at our next meeting.
Thank you very much for your time.
Motion to adjourn for written decision.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of Mayor at 40 Meadow Lane for a written decision by our council.
Is there a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
again.
Next application is for David and Sylvia Hermer, 51 Pond Lane, for demolition of existing dwelling, cottage, garage, swimming pool, shed, and the construction of a two-family house.
Application is closed for written decision by council. Motion to approve written decision.
I make a motion that we approve the application of
No.
Wait a minute. David,
We're on number 5.
we're on number 5.
Number 5.
This is a written request for adjournment.
Oh, I'm
Written
sorry.
Request for
I'm
adjournment.
sorry, I apologize. Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn till our next meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant David and Sylvia Hermer's request for an adjournment to our next meeting at 51 Pond Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now the next application.
George Thaler, 166 Hampton Road, for construction of new porches, first and second floor additions of the pool house. Is a written decision, I believe, in front of you.
Yes, motion to approve written decision by council.
I make a motion that we approve the written decision by our council for George Thaler at 166 Hampton Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last application, you said there is no.
Last application, Mr. Chair, is for, Philip and Nina Edwards at 395 First Neck Lane for construction of new guest house, but I do not see a posting or notification. I do see part of that, but I don't see a building permit in there.
They were delivered. I do that myself.
Affidavit of mailing,
But I don't see the actual
affidavit of posting.
building permit application. So, I'm sure, just,
And he's correct, there is no building permit inside.
There's what?
There's no
there's
building
no
permit.
actual application there. Why don't you give us 5 minutes, let's see if it's slipped into another file. There's a posting that we have.
We have a posting and mailing.
We have,
We do not have the
not the
actual
not the actual triplicate application.
application.
Okay, just give us a few minutes.
Okay.
Let's see if we can, maybe it's within a set of plans.
Prior.
Look at every one of them.
Possibly in the plans themselves.
Chair, I don't know if you'd like to go ahead with the hearing
Give
based
us
on
a
that.
second. Just give us a second. Until we have the application in front of us, we really don't have a stand to continue.
Okay, so,
Therefore, we have to find that application.
Right.
If you'll bear with us, and I don't know if in the midst of reviewing
we're adjourning
applications,
it
it
for
could
tonight?
have,
Give it another couple of minutes here, let me just get through
but they're
the
not in the prior.
These, clear, 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 and clear.
It's not in there either. Confuse things. Can you check the sign permits? Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Check this one.
We can't locate them. They're not, the actual physical application's not in the file. We do have the posting and mailing. But as I stated before, unless we have the actual physical application, we don't have a stand in order for us to make any rule or any recommendations on the application.
okay, so what's the process?
At this point, again, we can continue on with our process. See if it's in any of the other files. You said, I'm sorry, you didn't see any?
Not yet.
Yeah. If it pops up, but as of right now, they're not. I don't know if it's delayed. The building department just didn't transfer over. Any mistake can happen. It's never happened before, so you're the first.
Years ago once.
I've been here years. I haven't seen it.
We do have the posting and so forth, correct?
We do have the posting. We
It
do
is
have the
on the
mailing.
agenda.
Unfortunately,
Posting and mailing,
the
right.
application gives us the right to go forward. So
You guys want to take a look through these again?
we're gonna have to go through these. So as we
Yeah.
continue on,
Sure. You want to take that back?
This is the sign permit.
Let's check the main file.
no.
No?
Take a look at it one more time. I looked at
Take,
it.
let me open up the plans, look through it, as soon as I get clear enough. You check all three of these?
We're,
Five? Let's do one more time. Floor.
Everything's open.
Sorry. Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Wait.
Two together, great. I
Same.
think that's the same one. One's for demolition, one's for new house.
Which should be.
Jay, you want to walk through this thing informally at least?
You have, well, we don't have standing in order to actually even open the application without having the application present. If we do review the application, it would be informal. They would not be able to make any approval. Realistically, there would not be any public
get your
discussion.
comments, though,
You would have to represent the application at our next meeting if we
or
don't
they
find
find
it
it
this
in the building
evening.
department.
So those are your choices. It would be an informal application, no recommendations of the board, no requests.
See what your feelings are, because this is
However,
a
you still-
unique building.
Again, we would not be able to give any recommendations.
We would just listen to a
Just listen to a
presentation.
presentation, and you would have to represent that presentation at our next meeting,
Okay, 2 weeks.
if we don't find it this evening. It's your discretion. How would you like
So
us to act?
sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
this,
It's fine, as long as I can present it. To the board. Yeah.
I'm Steve Rossetti, architect, Nina Edwards, the homeowner and the designer of the house. We have brought some boards to show you. Would you like to start with the property itself?
Yes, please.
Yes.
This is at 395 First Neck Lane. There's a existing house out by the road, and the subject guest house is at the rear of the property, which is a rather large piece of property. Being back in here, an existing little house, and this we're even going further back into the corner. And these are pictures of the yard.
The reason it's shaped that way is because of the setback, 35 feet
Right.
to the neighbor on each side, and then there's a radius of the wetland. So it became this L-shaped thanks to the site conditions.
Okay.
All right. Now, you have gone to the Board of Appeals, right, for a variance?
Did you receive the approval on your variance? You have.
That's
When-
probably
when
where
was
the
that-
file is.
When was that received?
That's in the file.
When was that received?
When was that received? A couple of months ago?
A couple of months ago.
ZBA approval?
Yes. Gil Flanagan presented it, I believe.
All right,
Okay,
then.
you may want to
Yes.
check that location.
Okay. All right, so going on here, this guest house is going to be located at the rear of the yard. It cannot be seen from the road, and I believe not from the neighbors either, because there's large
No, it cannot be.
trees around it.
Okay.
The structure itself is going to be a passive solar. Basically, it has curved walls, like a greenhouse. The walls and roof are part glass, and the rest of the walls and roof are cedar shingles in natural state. And the exterior trim and the frames of the windows will be natural cedar. So kind of
You have
keeping...
a board with the elevations?
Yep.
Zach, contributing?
I haven't.
This is the back
There's
elevation.
no application.
the bag.
Surveying it.
That's towards the neighbors. So it's basically opaque towards the neighbors and open towards the south and towards the east. So that it's open towards the views, the open landscape, and it receives passive solar heating from the south. And it's thick walls towards the neighbors and also covered with a trellis so the neighbors won't be able to see.
With plantings will be grown on it.
Plantings will be grown on it. And then there's a very thick row of cedar trees separating neighbors on the north side to the north and the east. And the west
We
side.
have here.
This is the section.
This is a section through the wall.
Should they pass this around? Oh, I have a better.
So that cedar shingles and glass in the one section here. The rest is cedar shingles and the lab for the plantings.
What does that mean, plantings?
Vines,
Like a trellis
trellis,
growing up
exactly,
on this, that makes it green?
yes.
Literally.
I grew up here and I grew up in that house, traditional house, and I care a lot about the landscape here. And the whole point of this house is that it should blend in with the landscape and the surrounding architecture. It's invisible from the neighbors, but it does pick up on the materials of the neighboring house. And it is a zero-energy house, it will be. It's got solar panels in the roof and passive solar heating and very well insulated on the north side.
How many square feet, Steve? Roughly.
1,738.
1,738 overall? That's a modest size, then.
It's very modest, and it's only 16 feet high.
Right. I'm sorry, the height is only 16?
16 feet high?
So it's definitely a passive solar then.
Yes, and it's
I can hardly hear her. I can't
It's
hear.
basically a cottage.
No,
is-
no, I want to hear her.
it's a cottage. It's 16 feet high, and it's 1,738 square feet footprint. And it will be a zero energy house, passive solar and active solar.
As mentioned before, we're a little deficient because there is no existing of the application. Therefore, Zach has not been able to go out and take a look at, do a site visit, which is part of our procedure for historic district.
And that should have happened before the meeting?
I'm sorry?
That was supposed to happen before the meeting?
If he gets an application that is within the historic district, he has the discretion to either start his visit prior to or at the recommendation of the
afterwards.
board. If it's in the historic district and it's a contributing structure, he typically goes out before the application, before the meeting.
So, what probably happened? Just curious what might have happened.
I won't speculate what probably happened. So, we don't have the application, and it didn't trigger any process for us to
I should just
look
say
at.
procedurally, just in case you have some confusion.
Without an
in it-
application, how did it
Let me
get
just
this far?
There's a lot of questions I like to ask.
clarify.
Guys, this is a fairly small building, very well thought
me-
out.
without
Let's
com-
wait for the application, though, the physical application, so we don't.
Can I just
make any-
interject, just the procedure? Even though it's on the agenda for tonight, and it's within the historic section, because it's located in the historic district, I don't make that site visit until I receive instruction from the board at the presentation of the application. So this is on the agenda, but I don't, on the strength of that, I refresh myself and I'm familiar with what's coming in, but I don't physically make a site visit without the request or et cetera. And that only comes with the presentation. So that's why I haven't gone out already and asked your permission to come down the driveway and take a look, because that only happens tonight.
Okay.
And unfortunately, because
If
we
the
don't have
board
a
even
real
asks for
application.
it.
That's the site visit.
Yeah.
What I'm referring to is the actual categorization, if the property, I'm sorry, if the house itself is a contributing structure within the historic district. That is something he would know or be able to at least ascertain based on the application existing. Look on the registry, the address, there it is. Because it didn't trigger that recognition, we don't have that information as of right now.
So does it mean it gets reposted and
It
mailed?
doesn't have to be reposted, remailed, we have to locate the application.
Okay.
I'm sure it's somewhere. I'm
It's
sure
as simple as this.
but-
Sorry that you guys fell on this, but the bottom line is, we don't have a
I
legal
don't-
application.
Pam?
Yeah.
Don't need help. So what we're gonna do right now is we're going to can adjourn the application because it hasn't been officially or formally been able to be opened. So at this point, if you have any questions, which we're gonna be very careful about what we can and cannot answer, we're gonna have to continue on with this evening's meeting, unless you have anything
I
else to
have one
present.
question.
Okay,
How do you like it?
we can't say.
Can't
Can't
discuss
say.
it.
Can't say.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to present?
No.
Okay.
So, next meeting.
Sorry.
I'd like to apologize.
Sorry, I really, really apologize. You know, unfortunately, this is an unfortunate
On
situation.
behalf of the village. But they're asking
What should I do
for,
with the boards? Should I leave them in a closet here somewhere? They're kind
I
of
can
heavy to
ta- I
carry.
can take 'em.
Okay.
I wouldn't
I
leave
would,
them
I
here.
would take them
Yeah, I
because
wouldn't leave anything here.
we don't want anything else to
Other
get
meetings
misplaced.
go on, and I can't.
They might get lost.
Yeah. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
your
Thank you.
understanding.
Sorry.
that closes out our hearings, Mr. Chair.
Close the historic applications for this evening. First application, non-historic.
111 Post Lane. I think you have it down there, right?
Yeah. Do you have small renderings? You have small renderings? Thank you.
Good evening. May Ron Talley, McDonough Conway Architects.
Thank you.
Proceed.
Good evening. 2 weeks ago, you requested that we should go back and visit the site. We did that. We took pictures of the neighboring properties, which is in that packet before you. I think, in my opinion, the AutoCAD drawings we presented 2 weeks ago did not really depict our design intent. So we went back and came before you again with the digital rendering, which is a very, very good, in my opinion, representation of what we're intending to do. I have Brian here, which will answer any technical questions you may have. I think the packet is very much self-explanatory.
The AutoCAD, I'm sorry, your 3D is just of the front, not the rear?
Front only for now, yes. Sure.
Rear elevation, there was a comment briefly made last time where the rear elevation, everyone was okay with it. The major issue was the front portico and everything was a little too much over the top of certain elements, so we settled that down and we wanted to try to depict the front, you know, a little bit better, just to help with more clarity.
Esther, comments?
It's extremely helpful to have this, and we do appreciate that.
Yes.
So just give me a minute.
Sure.
Christine?
It's, I just need a minute to look at it.
Sure. Pam?
I like it. I think it's the type of design that you had with the tower and with the gable facing that was very confusing on a
one-dimensional picture.
Thing. And I think that I think it was Brian's initial suggestion and yours too, Christina, to do a 3D,
Actually, it was mine, but that's okay.
All right, Curtis. So it was yours.
Don't need credit.
You did a good job then. Because this 3D software that you provided, I love the light cuts, the shapes, the roof pitches are elegant and nice and right within our, as far as I'm concerned, within our guidelines, very much so.
Thank you.
So I'm in favor of the application as it is. One question I have though.
Sure.
Have there been any changes from your initial set to these sets that are being presented tonight, other than
Yeah. There's several comments that you guys have made. You made a few comments prior on the first meeting,
Right.
and we took some of those ideas and introduced it like subtly into the design.
the brackets
And-
on the windows
Yeah,
in the front?
yeah, less,
Right.
yeah, less
One chimney was
paneling.
eliminated.
I guess my question was this, so it was a little simpler. Are these representative of the plans that are on file for your application?
Yes.
Okay,
We submitted the revised plans, yes, sir.
got it.
So
Thank you.
So, just so that we understand it, you took away one of the chimneys. I'm sorry, two of the chimneys.
No, the chimneys beyond is in the background.
Okay.
You
Lower.
won't see that probably from this elevation.
One was
but
taken out, Mr.
One
Chairman.
was taken out, yes.
Yes. I'm sorry? A date? Okay.
Yes, there's a.
October 3rd. As always, which is the reason why this board, in most cases, requests a three-dimensional rendering, because it's very difficult for just a layman or even a professional to review a one-dimensional rendering and come up with a concept of what exactly you're trying to replicate. So it's very helpful. We appreciate the time that you put into it. You do a lot of properties and you do a lot of projects. I would take that in consideration for your next.
Thank you.
It is
Thank you very
extremely
much.
helpful for this board. Happy you put also included in the landscape so you actually get it at curb appeal rather than just in elevation. So
Correct.
thank you very much.
I do have a question. The plans that I'm looking at, the large plans,
Yeah.
are dated August 14th.
This should be a revision date on
So-
top. On top, miss, upper right-hand corner.
The revision date is on the upper right-hand side.
Okay, so
Got
it
it.
is. Great,
So-
terrific, thank you.
Christine,
Good question.
were you had to Very good observation.
As you said, this is very helpful, and I think it looks good.
Esther,
I like it. Thank you.
any public comments on the application?
Can we note the date on the approval of, October 9th?
October 9th, revision.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the application for 111 Toast Lane LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good night. Thank you.
Next application, please.
60 Halsey Street, Jasper Rose LLC, amending a prior application.
Applicant present? Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of Jasper Rose LLC at 60 Halsey Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application, please.
Robert and Karen, Kelly, 263 Little Plains Road, driveway gates. You guys have that down there, or is it in this end?
Oh, it might be here.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
I'm looking at the here. I have another.
Okay. Great.
Christine, you have it, right?
Yeah.
Christine has it.
Thank you.
That's the design.
Name for the record, please?
Charles Regensburg for builder for Bob and Karen Keller, 263 Little Plains.
Thank you. You're the gate contractor?
No, I'm the builder.
Okay.
Opening space?
4 inches.
Wood?
Yes, cedar. And one thing about this gate, it is slides back into a screened arborvitae on both sides. So when the gate is closed from this road, it's completely screened and on the inside as well.
Very nice.
Is there a
Christine?
survey? Is there a survey for a second? Does this meet village code as far as the gate being set back far enough from the street?
Yes, I had John Forster go out and gave us a measurement.
The building inspector went out to give you a measurement? No, he couldn't have. This is right on the street.
Correct. But
So-
where the gates are going,
All due respect, the reason that the village changed the code so the gate is recessed into the property is so that the tail ends of cars, the bicyclists, kids, runners, other cars are not whacking into it as the gate is operating and letting vehicles in and out. So although it's a nice idea to have a gate sort of sliding into hedgerows, this gate is supposed to be, I think it's 24 feet back from the property line. And this you have right on the property line, so.
no, this is actually the property
According to
line.
your survey, it's right even with the property line. This is your survey in the file set. I mean, I love the idea of a sliding gate, but indeed, it's right on the thoroughfare, so a Suburban that's 18 feet long would be sticking 20 feet out or so into the road, okay? Do you understand the reason? The idea is to pull into or nose into the property, then function with the gate and then go in. It's a
Right.
village code.
Right, and where we measured from the road, the curb of the road, into where the gate, where the Palladium apron is approximately 20 feet.
It doesn't show that on your survey.
Shown on your survey.
On your survey, seriously.
I can have that shown on the survey, because.
Here's your survey, and you're a builder in the county, right? You know how to read a survey, right?
I have it right here.
Okay, do you have the one that's stamped in?
No, I don't have
Okay,
that.
so why don't you see, is that stamped survey, is it different than the file one? Please,
No, it's the same.
okay, can we have that back for the file, please? So you need to go back to the village or go back to your surveyor. The gate's gotta be back. The whole idea is for safety reasons, is to move it to the rear. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do understand.
Okay.
So you want it actually designed on the survey so it shows the setback.
It shows the location that's legal. This is right up along the village property line.
And the code is, from my understanding, was 20 feet from the,
I think it's 20, 22, it's at least 16, I know that, and you're right on the property line.
okay.
I'm not trying to discourage, because
No, no, I mean, I don't know if you've
it
been
might
to.
be confusing to you, is that this is a gate that's not swinging in, so to speak. It's not a traditional, it's a slide gate, maybe? Is that what you were
Well,
saying?
no, the other thing is that the distance from the actual road bed
Right.
may be different from the roadway. That's not the same line. So in other words,
Right.
and you can't count the distance from the actual macadamized road
Right.
to the so-called roadway, which is the actual width of the village property. So there may
Correct.
be some discrepancy there.
Check with your surveyor.
The surveyor, if you could do us a favor and include in here a copy of the survey documenting the actual depth of the.
Yeah, I understand.
Otherwise, the
I've been there
neighbors
a
are
number
going
of
to go nuts.
times.
And it's a dangerous situation, too.
Right.
You know, if you have kids that are bicycle riding down, there's a car that's there, bam, and
I
it's just,
understand.
you know, it's not.
It's
you
a
know.
wonderful concept, though.
It's a great concept, and the idea of the openness of the gate is great.
Okay.
Okay?
I actually would be willing, with a condition, a contingency on the approval, and you present that to the board, because we're talking really just an alteration, if the board agrees.
No, I wouldn't.
You wanna see
I
it on
wanna
the
see the
survey?
survey.
Do you have an issue with that?
Absolutely.
Do you have an issue with the?
I think conceptually it's fine, but I'd prefer to see it on the survey as
I
well.
agree. That's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Okay.
I think for your
All right, so at this
clients,
time,
too.
you're requesting the board to adjourn so that you can prepare that, correct?
Yes.
Right. Any public comment before we adjourn? Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we approve the applicant Robert and Karen Kelly's request to adjourn to our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you
Aye.
very much.
Thank you. Next application, please.
I think you have Jacob down there. Bill and Sharon Jacob
Last
for
one.
rebuild in kind a two-story existing barn.
Is the applicant present? Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn the application for Bill and Sharon Jacob at 52 Bishop's Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Were you here to speak on that application?
Okay, you're just walking up.
All right.
Okay, fine.
Next application.
Next
please.
application,
At that last one, I'm a next door neighbor, can I say anything? I came all the way through for that, or,
I'm
For
sorry,
the-
which one?
the Jacobs one, or is that, I have to wait till the next?
You have to.
Well, we officially closed the application. Well, hear me out. We can reopen it if you wish to, on record, make any comment to the application. You are here. However, understandably, the applicant's not here to make any comments, any rebuttal or anything. So you may have to make the same comment again at the next
Okay.
meeting.
I don't mind saying something now, just to have you kind
okay,
of hear me out.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. If you can give us a second, we're just going to motion to reopen the application.
Chair, I make a motion to reopen the application of Bill and Sharon Jacob on 52 Bishop's Lane for rebuilding in kind a two-story existing barn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Your name for the record,
Hi,
please.
I'm Aileen Haruvi. I'm a
Sorry,
next door
for the record, the
neighbor.
applicant is not present, is that correct?
I live at 535 Hill Street. And they recently built a full-on two basketball hoop court right by where this barn is. There's a lot of noise pollution. I've heard that they want to turn this barn into a garage. I just can't imagine all these cars coming in and out. Meanwhile, there's from 8 in the morning till 8 p.m. full-on basketball games going on, 12 people on a court or more. It's just too much for this. We're on Hill Street. They own the property on Hill Street adjoining this property that they just recently purchased. It's just too much noise pollution. I can't imagine now that there's going to be a garage there as well. And I don't even know how they were able to build this basketball court with it's not sunken in. There are no trees around. It's right on our property,
Okay,
basically.
you know the application is for rebuilding an in kind a two-story existing barn.
Oh, really? I spoke with the housing department. They said it was to turn it into a garage. So
We haven't had a presentation.
We
of the
haven't had a
you don't
presentation.
know.
So
Okay.
as of right now, it's being presented as a construction of a barn. So we haven't heard the
Okay.
application, nor have we heard what their intention of use of this structure will be, which is again more beneficial if you were to return at our next
Okay.
meeting, so maybe you can address some of the concerns,
Yeah.
noise.
I know that that's their backyard, so I don't think it's going to be a quiet structure. It'll probably
Including
be
screening
something.
from,
With regards to the basketball court, that's something that you would have to discuss with the building
And
department.
I have, and they actually told me to come and maybe ask you for help because
What, the bas-
I know that basketball courts, I've heard, are not regulated while tennis courts are. They don't need to be sunken.
No.
They don't need to have trees around them. And these are like 12 to 15 to whatever people on a court all at the same time. All our neighbors have
the
complained.
challenge is that this board is an aesthetic board. We're not an enforcery board, so we
Really?
can't force someone to tear down their basketball court.
Yeah.
We can only look at applications that are being presented and make any ruling or recommendations on
Okay.
that. So we really don't have any say over the
Alright.
existence
So you
of.
recommend I
what
call the
we
housing
can-
department again then?
the building department.
Yes, yeah, that's the building
Building
department.
Okay.
What,
I haven't, I don't, maybe
what
they
we
just didn't
can
feel like
talk
helping you
about
that day.
is a landscape plan, which maybe softens some of the, I don't know how much, but some of the noise or,
as it relates to the building. it's-
correct.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll be back for the
Don't
next
give up.
meeting.
You may also want to speak with the ordinance inspector.
Okay, the ordinance. Okay.
the building
I'm gonna-
department.
All right,
You should
thank you
go
so
talk
much.
to the building department.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Good
Thanks.
luck.
Yeah, I need a lot of it.
All right, now, any other comments on this application?
I make a motion to close,
To adjourn.
to adjourn the meeting of Bill and Sharon Jacob on 52 Bishop's Lane for the reconstruction of a in-kind two-story existing barn.
Motion to adjourn the application, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the application of Ronald Restu, 37 Hetty Creek, for construction of driveway gates and posts. Monique?
I don't have it.
We have it here, sorry, Sue. Right here. You ran out of your basket, you want another one?
Your name for the record, please.
My name is Monique Romeo. Regarding the gates,
Monique, are those solid panels on the bottom, or are they also transparent?
transparent,
What do you have between the stakes on those?
3-inch space,
3 inch, okay, that's fine.
Wood?
3-inch space,
Is it made out of wood?
yes.
Okay. Christine, comments?
No, I think it's very lovely.
Esther?
Very handsome.
Cam?
No issues.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we approve the driveway gates for Ronald Risto at 37 Hetty Creek Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next application is Scott Fleshman at 85 Henry Street for construction of a new two-story dwelling. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Sorry, couldn't see him.
Your name for the record, please.
Anastasios Tzakis, I'm the architect for the project. Just need a submittal.
Is this new information?
It's just reduced copy.
Reduced, okay.
What was
Everything's
submitted.
in there.
Yes.
Okay.
It matches up to file set?
Pictures. Yeah, the sets of drawings are the same. I think the cuts are additional to what was submitted, or they didn't accept them at the time. And the photos are probably not part of the building application either.
The photos are not part of the document.
Yeah, those, right, those are,
Can I just
those are the new
grab these
submission.
for those to stamp instead?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
No problem.
May proceed.
So the project is at 85 Henry Street is the address. We're proposing to demo the existing ranch-style one-family dwelling and construct new one-family dwelling. The square footage of the proposed house is total 2,713. First floor is 1,475. Second floor, 1,238. The design of the home is traditional and pretty much delegated by the pyramid profile, sky exposure plane geometry. In addition, the front Dutch clip roof was a result of the front
yard pyramid profile and maintaining a nice sized rear yard area for proposed in-ground pool and off-street parking required, as we show on the site plan. The materials we propose are 5-inch exposure cedar shingle siding, Anderson 400 series, double hung windows with simulated divided lights, white painted trim or AZAC, 8-inch fascia boards with the 14-inch vented soffit, 5-inch trim profile at all windows and doors, 5-inch freeze board exposure with 5-inch corner trim molding at all soffit, and gable end details as per details on drawing AO.01. Board here, presentation board with some photos. Material specifications and some similar precedent, similar style home a few streets away. We also have
What is this now?
A little.
color artist rendering on the board as well.
These two famous garage with additions for a time. I kept the front door front there for a year.
I don't think that's germane.
That's it for now.
North elevations, there's a horizontal, seems like side lights.
Yeah, that's right. Towards the back of the house, there's a horizontal window above it. It's more a transom, I guess, transom window that's above a bed. And that,
above the bed.
There's a bedroom on the back side there.
What's your side yard?
Side yard is, they're both at
On the
16
north?
feet. Be 16 feet.
And on the
Both
south?
16 as well. We centered the house due to the profile, and that kind of like pretty much set up the front elevation of the house.
Centered the house because you had no choice because of the pyramid.
Exactly. The second floor.
You did a Dutch clip on the face on the street side?
Correct. That too was done to.
What's your ridge height here?
Ridge height? 32 feet 3 inches to the ridge.
Christine, comments?
I want to thank you for the very useful information that you've given us. I think it's a nice house.
Notification,
It's
search in the file.
Yeah, there are no.
Can you just see the list?
List?
Yeah, and that's Sally Van Earth lives in the corner there, 2 houses down, people across the street, a very tight-knit area. Surprised there's no one there.
Esther, comments?
It feels like a lot of house for the property.
Yeah, she's on it.
But it's conforming.
Ann?
I'm familiar with the lot. It's conforming. I like the materials on it. I'd love to see the ridge coming down like 4 feet, 3 or 4 feet at least. So it's closer to 26 or 28.
Okay.
I know there's a house on the, going up the street there on Henry a little bit. It's in the corner of the next intersection on the southeast side. It was originally a yellow house, and we had the same issues. We agreed it was a corner house, but they were willing to drop the ridge. And I think even though you conform to the pyramid law, if you could give up 3 or 4 feet up on the top, I'd be fine with this the way it is right now.
Okay. I mean, the only thing is that, the roof pitch is it's gonna be a much lower pitch.
And you'll push out into the sky plane by doing that. In other words, if you pitched and broadened the house out, you'd be in the plane. So I understand where you're at.
Right.
Ideally, if we could have brought that ridge down, that would be great, but I understand that why you're there.
Right. Okay.
But other than that, I don't have any issues with it.
Christine, you have any comments about I actually like the proposed project as it stands. I like actually your presentation. Thank you for the
presentation's great. Yeah.
For the material that you presented, thorough. It's the first time I've seen you, so it's a great job coming before the board. Just want to point that out, just in case you decide to do any other projects here locally.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
A good beginning. So I have no problems with the application as submitted. Christine?
No.
Lester? Any public comment? Please step forward. Your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is John Corain, and I live on Henry Street as well. And I agree, I think it's a lot of house for the lot. One of the concerns that I have right now, and it's not so much about the design, because obviously any change or improvement would certainly be better. One of the issues I have is with regards to the current parking. And obviously, with the small house that's there now, there wasn't enough with regards to the number of cars. I'm only assuming as the house gets bigger and the number of bedrooms, I'm not sure how many bedrooms are associated with this. But there was actually not enough room with regards to the number of cars, and it was forced that people were parking on the street overnight and actually in front of the existing houses as well. So I don't know how they address that with the design.
It's very interesting, actually, and if you'd like to take a look at the survey that's provided and the site plan, it's kind of a creative solution that they've come up with, and that may address your concerns. I'll be happy to show that to you. They're doing the parking on the diagonal.
You have the survey on the board?
And the parking is at a diagonal, it's to the rear of the main structure.
So they've got 3 spaces back there, is that
There's
correct?
the front.
Yep.
This is the street side. There'll be a driveway and a park towards the back of the property, 10 feet. It's all conforming too, like, it's 4 bedrooms, so it's
I've
4
never
minus
seen that
3, there's
picture.
one.
I haven't either.
There's 3 required parking. See, at present, I think they can't pass the front face of the house, so they're parking 1 or 2 cars here and
Right.
probably the excess on the street.
Yes, I mean, that's
Right,
definitely
this'll
changed.
solve
So
that
you've
problem.
got 3 diagonals in there,
Right.
and then you can park
Right.
right
In the-
behind that. So
Yep.
I think that does address your issue.
Right.
I think it's a very creative solution, actually.
Yeah.
I think they are permitted to park 1 car in the front, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you are.
I'd like
Yes,
it
you are.
not to, we want to keep the cars in the
Right.
back, so.
So you have
see the
4,
house and
basically you have
landscaping.
3 storage spaces and 1 transitional space.
Does that satisfy?
Yeah, that was my question, because like I said, right now, there was no parking, and it certainly was an issue where you would have 4 cars in the spot of 1.
It's a horse and buggy road too, it's
Yes.
tight, yeah.
Right. And I think right now, the property almost goes to the property line, so if they were saying there's now 16 feet,
Right.
that certainly is good as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments? Please step forward.
Hi. My name is Dana Berger. I live at 89 Henry Street. I'm on the north perimeter of this property. John's on the south perimeter. And right now, the people that are tenants in the property are parking 4 cars in the front. They're on the front lawn. We brought pictures just to show you what's been going on.
Right.
The amount of space that is between the north side of the property is on a slab. It was the garage before Andrea Drum, when Andrea Drum owned it, and she converted that into bedrooms. With that there is not 16 feet from the edge of that garage to the property line. And the pictures that I have, there's even encroachment you can see from where they're parking.
The example of how
I
the
did
parking
not,
is-
but you have to see this side.
Well, we understand that, but that's what
They're
exists now.
taking the house down, you know
And
that.
Give me a second. Yeah, that's what exists now. They're making they're tearing the house down, they're rebuilding a new home, and they're resolving the parking issues.
I understand, and I'd like to see that. But if they're measuring 16 feet, how wide is that lot? In other words, that already they're encroaching on my property, okay? So, I gotta say this, that if it's on paper and if it meets that 16 feet on either side, and then it's conforming, fine. But non-existing, pre-existing non-conforming is not gonna play.
Got it.
Got it.
And you're on the north side, you
I'm
said,
on the
correct?
north
So if you're
perimeter.
standing looking at the project, you're on the right
These are
side.
for you guys to put in the file.
Of course. Can
I'm
you
sure
stamp
you know
those
the
stamped
place,
in?
Ham.
Yeah, I do. But
Okay.
I think what's
Let me
interesting is
see
that
what
they're
this
using, can you show her the
I
parking?
was thinking the same thing, if this is like a porte-cochere on one side, and then you go through.
It's actually
to
gonna
the
be
back
open.
of the property.
It's 16-foot drive aisle, and the cars will be in the back, and they'll also be set back 10 feet from this property. That's required by code. They'll
Which
have
is
a
a-
10-foot setback
Which is
as
a
well.
pretty good improvement.
Okay, I'm here.
Right.
Right.
Okay, and I think this is a 5-foot or a 10-foot setback that this driveway
Right.
has to be from the.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. It's 10.
Am I right?
Well, you
5
can have
feet,
the
10
driveway
feet.
there, the car can't be in that 10 feet. You could have the drive aisle right on the property line, but the car can't be, it's gotta be 10 feet
And
from the.
the front door of the
side-
house is
side
here.
yard. The front door is on the front. The front door would be on the front.
So this is the side door?
There's a side entrance there, correct. See, even in my pictures, there's a couple of cars here. You're not gonna have that anymore. You're gonna have just a drive aisle to the back that has a dedicated parking area. That house is a bit closer to the side yard. This is gonna be more centered. I have an existing survey too, I could tell you exactly.
Okay, because you can tell
it's
from
10
the
feet.
pictures we took.
Actually, it's
there's
10
no
feet.
16
On the
feet.
existing
It's
survey,
10
it's
feet.
10 feet.
I have the
They're
original
actually-
survey and the proposed.
They're actually, to answer your question, it's actually 10 feet. It's closer than you think. Now it's 16 feet, so they're actually moving
It'll be
further
another
away.
6 feet. They'll have 6
Thank
more
you,
feet.
thank you, thank you.
Thank them, not us.
We'll send you a card
Oh.
at Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Now, wait a minute, hold on. In
Look at
terms
both-
of the
look at-
pool,
look at
don't
both
you have to
surveys.
have
We're
the
just-
parking a
yeah,
certain
I'm sorry?
distance from the pool?
No.
No.
Pool has to be a
You
certain
don't want the
distance from
car in the
property
pool.
line.
Huh?
You don't want to have the car in the pool.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Aren't there limits to all these things?
The pool has to be set back 20 feet from the side and rear lot lines, village code. But the cars aren't directly on top of the pool, but there's some room between there.
And there will be a fence around the pool?
Yes. Has to be a fence around the pool.
Okay,
Nice improvement.
yes. Like John said, anything would be better than what's
Well,
there.
not
Does that
anything.
answer all your
not anything.
questions?
Is that-
It does, except, I was concerned as they put a foundation on a slab, where a slab was, and they put a foundation. Forgive me, but it looks like 5 feet from where they currently exist with that slab. So, I'd like somebody, a surveyor, to know. I know where the red cap is. It's right underneath. Ham, did you see the split rail fence coming along the
No, I
emerald?
didn't, actually.
They did do surveys. The survey's been out there on 2 occasions probably. So at present, it's 10 feet, according to this. I mean, this is a very recent survey. It's 10 feet. I don't know if there's any markers here. There's a rebar cap. There's something back there.
That's the monument. In here is the, underneath this fence.
Okay.
Under the poster. The fence is mine.
Actually, the fence is see, the fence is shown on that side. They'll go out, they'll stake it out before they do any
Well,
work.
they have
The
to,
wire fence was for dogs. There were 10.
Right, but that
Okay.
wire fence, if
The
he is, it's on
hedges
their
are on
property.
my side.
Okay.
And the split rail is my side.
Okay.
And there's a red cap right in the middle of that front part of the split rail.
Okay,
So,
they'll figure it
in
out.
other words, as long as they don't, as long as, forgive me, but that my bushes are not going into their frame for their foundation.
Okay.
I won't have it. Okay?
understood.
Fair. Okay. thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Curtis, can I throw something in before you?
Sure.
I mean, this is kind of like a replica of a Foursquare. That's why I had kind of an interest. It has a nice historical look to it. I think if Brian were here this evening, he would have an interest in the
Shutters.
asymmetry of the windows on the second story.
Really?
There's no reason for the pair of windows on the right to be shorter or higher on the wall than those on the left. And that gives the front facade of this a sort of a strangely modern feeling, when in fact it's a very historical, sort of four-square, symmetrical looking building. And I understand it's occasioned because I guess the form on the left is a gable that projects forward.
It does
a
project
bit,
forward.
So it has a little more wall below it. But if you're standing inside those rooms, the height of those windows above the floor is identical.
Except, I was gonna say, on the windows to the right, there's a bathroom behind it. That's why the windows are shorter.
Okay.
Because there's a,
Well, actually, what happens on the interior is not of any concern to this
Of course.
board, and all I'm saying is that the aesthetics of the front facade, in my
I agree with you.
opinion, are a little compromised by those windows being short.
Yeah, it's right here.
And I just think that might be something this guy would have, just because he's a designer. Anyway, my
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I agree.
I actually like it because the recessed portion are the smaller windows as they should be when they're recessed, and the projected or dominant windows, the triple pair, are taller, and I think it actually balances it. And the fact that they're stacked over the first floor windows, I like it too. And there's also a pitched roof that's deeper. You know, again, this would be a great 3D. Another example. It's very similar to the other one. But what's weird about this one dimension is that it does look off-center. But in fact, if you look at the distance, there's probably 12 feet, I'm guessing, between the fascia and the vertical shingles there. In other words, that pitched roof. And on this one, it was probably 4. My guess
I'm
is.
saying something different. I think the aesthetics of this are compromised by that, and it has nothing to do with the roof line of the porch beneath it. It simply has nothing to do with
Well, again, the aesthetics of the fenestration and the relationship to the pitches of the roof and how far back it is, I think that just to get an idea, how far back is this vertical wall from the fascia of its roof in front compared to how far back is that one? What is the distance of the projection as they relate to one another?
The left side
Mhm.
out 3 feet? 3 feet. Let me just check the plans.
That's not an unusual feature in a house of
Yeah.
the 19 teens or 20s. To have a projecting facade that
Exactly.
will come out that way.
Right.
It's just that since this is
How much roof you
kind of replicating the look of a period house, it's missing it there.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
What you would say is almost that the pair of windows that are submissive to the front would be taller?
In my opinion, they should have the same height.
The same height.
That the bank of 3 windows to the left has.
Right.
I don't think that what's happening in terms of.
Which
the
is
porch
tough when
in
you
front of it-
project things forward and backwards, though, as it relates to the roof, you know?
No, but there's ample room to drop those windows, that pair of windows, to the level that they don't need to be
Might be
a
6
foot and a
inches.
half above.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Might be about 6 inches shorter.
Would you be
than
willing
the
to
other one.
consider that? Would you be willing to do that?
I think we can work that in, right? The tub comes out.
Mhm.
And it comes out 3 feet, the projection's 3 feet.
Mhm.
You're still gonna, I agree with you,
I think I
Zach, you're still gonna view that straight on, and it's nice to have it, but.
It's a small point,
It's
but I think
definitely an
it's-
improvement, I agree with you, because it gives it much more symmetry.
Okay.
So if you would rework that, that would be extremely
We
helpful.
could, we could drop the windows. I'm not 100%, they'd be close, but I think I have to clear that roof line by about 4 or 6 inches, so
Just
the
to
water
get-
doesn't come in
Oh, sure.
flash.
6 inches is the appropriate amount for the bottom of the sill.
I think you'd make that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be a problem.
You just have to resize the light cut slightly.
Okay, anything further?
Nope.
All right, so we will see that.
You have a comment?
You have to step forward. You get to step forward. We can't pick it up on the record.
I didn't see a front porch.
There is a front
There-
porch. The entire house, the entire width of the house is a front porch portico. That comes out at
And that starts at 30 feet from the street?
25 feet is the distance. That's the minimum required front yard setback by code.
It is? I thought it was 30 feet.
The house.
The house has to be 30
yes.
feet. So
Yeah.
so the front porch is 5 feet.
The
How
front
big-
porch,
how
the
deep
front
is
porch
it?
is at 25.
The-
The front porch, I believe, is a permitted,
At 25 feet, and the
Into
house,
the-
where the actual house starts.
How deep is your porch?
excuse me. The porch is 6 feet.
6 feet.
Front porch is, right, 6 feet. It's 25 feet to the front of the porch. The house will be at 25 plus 6, 31, the front wall of the house.
And that 25 feet includes
Actually,
the
the
buffer?
front, the main front wall of the house, and you also have a 3 feet projection into that. So we have 25 feet to the front porch, the front porch
It
of the
meets
house.
code. Yes.
It's 25, I think, I'm pretty confident it is.
But it'll read as closer to 30, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The vertical sides.
Thank you.
So you'll have the revised plans showing the window revision
Sure.
at our next meeting.
The windows and then the ridge,
If we could, if you could, it would be great.
right.
just bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, I could lower it.
It would,
Show the example of both.
26 or 28.
Because I would hate for that.
26
for-
is always better than 28 as far as
Right.
the height there.
Show the example of both, because you would hate for it to be done, and then you don't have a rendering showing the window changed. So I would show the difference between the two and show a comparison, and then we'll see what the final.
We can pick.
Mhm.
He can make his.
Yeah.
See which one has better symmetry. Any questions?
Overall, I'm fine with the application as it sits. The fenestration is not that big of an issue on this particular.
So we're going to prepare that information and prepare that for our next meeting. We really prefer that the renderings be in the file the week before, to have the opportunity for us to review the file rather than waiting the night of, in which case it may
Okay.
delay it.
Sure.
Okay?
The revised elevations and plans.
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay.
So you requested this board to adjourn for your preparation, correct?
Yep, thank you, yes.
Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn?
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Scott Fleischman at 85 Henry Street, request to adjourn to our next meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much.
Thank you. It's a good presentation. Next application is Mortimer Cooper's Next Family LLC for entry gates.
Are we, do you want your small copies back? You can recycle them for next.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
We have two of them now?
Yes.
Be back in 2 weeks, correct?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Take care. Night.
Hi, Terry
Hi.
Gio, the landscape architect for my client, Averill Mortimer. It's a service gate, 5 foot tall, in the far end of Meadow here. It's a dead-end street. It's not a gate to the house. It's way in the back. There's not even a driveway, paved driveway through the gate. It's just lawn.
Perry, the opening space is
2.5.
2.5, and your boards are 5.5.
Yeah.
And your height is
5 feet.
5 feet. Is that going to be tall enough for all those deer down there?
There's no deer proof because we're on the pond.
Okay.
Christine, comments?
No.
Esther?
It's beautiful.
Any public comment on the application?
Just the gate.
Just a gate.
It's about the tamest thing you can come across.
It's important, though.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the application of Mortimer Cooper's Neck Family LLC for the driveway gates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Next application, ADF Ventures, 2-story single-family home with a detached garage. Just done?
That's, yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I assume that you have all the paperwork and I'll just grab my plans. Where do we start?
From the beginning.
Start at the top. What's your roof?
Right here.
Okay. Your siding is cedar?
Yes, we'll use an R&R.
Okay. Your trim is all AZAC?
That is correct.
Okay. What about your fenestration?
One more time, please.
What about your fenestration, your windows?
I didn't hear what you said. I'm using Marvin Integrities. I have the cuts here if you'd like me to pull them out.
Nope. Unless you guys do.
No.
Okay. So it's architectural grade. What's your chimney material?
It's going to be a precast chimney, and it'll be just wrapped with cedar.
The chimney is wrapped with cedar?
Clarify what I'm saying. We're going to box it. In other words, it'll be a standard freestanding fireplace.
You're going to box it and then you're going to dress it?
Yeah, I'll dress the
What are you
outside.
dressing it with?
I will dress the outside with cedar.
Okay, this village is always asked to dress in either a brick that's similar to a clay brick, like a jumbo double D,
Or a stone.
Culture stone?
or not culture stone necessarily, or a stucco with a sand type of
Yeah,
style
we can go
finish.
stucco, but just excuse me, I'm not disagreeing, I'm just contemplating, because I'm building a house myself. Stucco, I got all that, but let's go back to the brick. I want to revisit that, because I'm entertaining using brick in the
I
backyard.
would prefer the
so-
brick
I
myself,
would prefer brick.
But are you looking for a regular brick, or
Red
can I have
brick.
Excuse me?
a red brick.
Right, but they offer it two different ways. Either
Danish
the
blend.
full-size brick, or the brick that's been cut, that's 1.5 inches.
Standard brick. Two and a
Standard full-size
quarter, 2 1/4,
brick.
and the mortar joint 3/8 to
Okay,
5/8.
I don't have really any disagreement with that at all, but I'm not
Okay.
really sure if I want to go with the red brick or the stucco. I'm favoring the red brick.
Either way, I'd be fine with it as long as it wasn't cultured stone or stacked stone.
All right,
Okay,
so
and the stucco would be a neutral tone, close to a
if I
sand,
went with the stucco, I would match what I'm doing on the foundation, keep it all neutral.
which would be nice.
I think I'm gonna do the chimney. I think it's not, it's my house, and I'm not challenging, but I'm more into the cosmetics, and I'm favoring more towards the brick, is what I'm saying.
I think it's more
I
in
just have to
keeping, I
explore-
think it's more in
More in keeping with the area too.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
need to explore that. I don't disagree, but
Okay.
I'm gonna do either one, but I just wanna look at that first.
Just so you know, we're just talking about the fireplace. If you wanted to leave the dressing of the base raw concrete, you have the right to do that. You understand that?
Yes, I do. I understand.
Okay. So, on the chimney, not only would brick be nice, but it'd be nice to have a corbelling detail so it felt like brick as opposed to a straight applique. And there is a detail that you get, just like with AZAC, you can get different profiles. There is a dressing profile. I'd love if you could do something like that, maybe 2 or 3 steps. I think you'd probably like it too.
Yeah, that might have a nice, even something if I stepped it up with like a bluestone or slate on the top.
You could do that as well. Bluestone and brick is pretty classic, and, you know,
Yeah, that's a nice look, yeah. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that yet, but I agree with the board,
and
and we'll dress that up.
something. Yeah, too. And I assume the chimney cap is clay?
Maybe
Was
I
it-
didn't explain it. So this is a freestanding insert fireplace that I buy, burns solid fuel, triple wall going up.
Uh-huh.
So when you're asking clay, the only.
Okay, let me rephrase. You're framing in the sections of stainless steel flue,
Right.
and at the top, you're putting a cap on there. What is the cap material? Is it going to be
Normally what they do
stainless?
is either
Copper?
304 or 316 stainless on the top.
Okay. So that's something that we really can't judge because it's utilitarian, but the structure below it can be stucco or it can be an applique of brick and so forth. The actual chimney top is something that has to remain in most cases
Brick
stainless.
is more appropriate.
I
I
agree.
think brick is more appropriate of the
I don't
two.
think, you don't see the chimney cap. The way the detail
We went
is.
past that.
You went past.
Excuse me?
We went right past that.
We went past
Okay.
that.
We're really talking
We're
about
going
the,
with the brick now.
Okay, we're going back to it.
yeah, that's where we're at.
It's late, guys.
It's
No,
it's
we're
your.
there.
Let's just say, what are you presenting? We're making recommendations when really realistically this board cannot design your home for you.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that. I haven't made a decision. At this point, I'm thinking I'm gonna match everything in stucco.
Okay.
Leave it at that.
Part of the application's approval will be what material you use. So we would definitely need to have a decision.
Unless it were a white stucco that is similar to the samples that you have right there, which you could present, I'd be happy to approve.
I don't have that answer on that right now. I'm happy to bring in a sample.
I think brick.
Again, your discretion.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
trying to help you.
I'm not gonna make that decision right now, but may I ask the board a question? Is that going to restrict or stop the building permit?
We won't approve it until we have
Yes.
an actual.
So you
We
need
can-
the sample of the chimney, the finish of the chimney?
We
on
need a
this.
decision, and if it's a brick, typically we ask for a sample of the brick.
Mhm.
But we also need to prove the style of the house.
Right, and
Well, I mean, we're just talking about one dimension
We're
right
just
now.
talking about the chimney right now. We haven't
Yeah,
gotten
no,
to
no,
this.
I'm not challenging that. So if I went stucco on this thing, I just have to bring the stucco when I'm looking to utilize around the place. So you just want to see the actual product that I'm buying? That's it, just the bag?
Look, just the color.
It's color,
No.
a sample, a photo.
Okay,
We'll
I
bring
got
in
it.
the
Not a
brick.
problem. I understand. All right. Go ahead.
It's a tonal thing. It's readily available in a brochure.
I have no problem doing it. I'm just, in my mind, I'm trying to decide
You
what
want
I'm
to talk
doing.
about the rest of the house then?
Please.
Okay, so all your fascia, soffit, frieze boards, returns, cap, sills, moldings, head casings, and so forth, risers on your steps and so forth, are all AZAC white, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I assume your mahogany sample there is for your steps on your treads and on your platform at the entry, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and all your windows are Marvin with white trim. There's no stain on the house. The only question I have is the fireplace. I'd be fine with it as a standard brick, and that's it.
What is the height of the house?
I believe it's 31 feet. You can look at the plans, you can see. I was just looking at it myself. I think the top of that chimney showed it 35 feet. And if you cross the lines on across, I think it's either 30 or 31.
Need some pictures of the surrounding houses.
You can request it, it's not required. Request it.
Well, usually
What's that?
it looks like a three-story house.
Can you check one?
A three-story house, it just.
Yeah. It reads, it does read like a three-story home.
My concern is that it looks like a three-story house, and I'm trying to understand why that is. There just seem to be so many different peaks of the roofs, and
It's not a three-story house.
I understand that.
It looks
But
like
it
a three-story.
feels
Reads
that
that
way,
way.
and I don't understand quite why I'm not able to articulate that.
Well, you're working on the pitch of the roof, whether it's a 12-10 pitch on it, based on the hips that are coming around here and the way it falls, where it sits on the plate material, it has to come out the ridge, and that's the design of the house based on your angles there. If I drop the roof down for whatever height, then I lose the whole detail of the front of these reverse gables here. I mean, cosmetically.
What about the sweeps as you're looking towards the front door, the sweep that's on the right, that it comes right over the front door?
Okay. What's the question?
Is that intentional?
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
the
it's trying to
style.
get a little character to it.
Right.
I'm trying to get away from your traditional
I like it, actually.
gingerbread house with the lines straight, so I put the sweeps there.
You've been having fun with this.
I happen to love this house, it's designed to drag it out. I like dressing it up. But to get back on the roof lines, I mean, that the reason we have that height of nominally 30 feet is basically because we want to keep that, trying to get away from the, what's the word I'm looking for? The hip roof design, where it doesn't look like something, no offense, somebody lives in Mount Sinai, but I want to get away from the track homes.
No one here lives in Mount Sinai.
Okay.
One of the things that we.
Well, you
ask
have a hip
for-
roof. Your
I don't
main,
mean that bad.
Your
But
main roof is a hip.
I know, but some of the hip roofs, if you look at it the way they flat now, it's too boxy looking. That's why I broke it up with all the lines here, just to get away from that, and just to give that drama when you look at the house. It has the pizzazz.
You have 6
to it.
gables facing the front.
What looks beautiful.
One of
I think it's kind of cool, actually.
One of the things we
Different.
ask for you to have in your file is some pictures of the surrounding houses, so we can see how your house, your design, fits in with the street that you're on.
Okay, house next door is commercial property, the Polish Hall next door. All right, I'm sure everybody's familiar with that on Elm Street. Directly
everyone
behind
knows
that is
230,
Riverhead
yeah.
Building Products. Behind that is a social club.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to take pictures of that.
I get it.
I'm not in a pristine area of the village, but it's a nice area.
Yeah, it's
Very
quiet.
nice.
It is a very
Yeah,
nice
it's all
area.
right.
I have my
Nice
office right down the street, sort of, from you. I'm in the red brick building. I like the application the way it is. If you said you're doing a brick or stucco, as long as it's neutral brick or a neutral stucco, I'd be fine with this.
Have we made a decision?
Beg your pardon?
Have you made a decision on your material? for the-
I think I'm gonna try to go with brick.
So if we approve the application today, part of the requirements will be that it would be brick. Board members, do you think you need a sample of the actual physical brick?
No.
No.
I don't think so. So if we make we give you an approval this evening, it would be brick. If you change it, it may require you to come back and
Yeah,
do a
the brick is
reapproval.
fine. I just don't know if I wanna go with a used brick or just a red. That's
The
why
look
I
in
didn't ask
Southampton
you.
is like a used, more clay-style brick.
I like the used brick,
Okay.
but that's where
All
I'm
right, well, that's
driving
cool.
at. But I'm trying to figure how to work that into the walkway, so that's
Okay.
why I'm hesitant to respond on
When
that.
are you getting excited about starting this?
I'm very excited. If you look at what I did there, I cleared, are you familiar with the property?
Yeah.
Very.
We
Very.
took all the danger out of it, cleaned everything up. And now what we're doing is we cleared, I spoke to the building department that I could clean it up, just get everything flat and in, and I'm vegetating the whole property, just to protect everything, then I'm filing for a permit, put a fence up.
All right, all right. You're getting rid of all the waterfalls back there and all that stuff?
I have stone that is 6 feet in diameter. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm somehow trying to place it.
Any public
With an
comment?
excavator.
Any public comment?
Anything further from the board?
You guys are looking to get rid of me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
But in a positive way.
In a good way.
I want to hold you back, rearing to go.
Yeah, get out the shovel.
Jake's property?
Yeah.
Unique.
Say no more before Zach says something about your window and then we're
Yeah,
here for another
really.
10 minutes. Motion to approve.
So I make a motion that we approve the application of ADF benches with the provision that the chimney is brick.
Or brick-faced.
Pardon?
Or brick-faced.
Or brick-faced
Okay. Second.
at 35 Pulaski.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good luck.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Mark and Carrie Bernantino, 39 Adams Lane.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. You're welcome.
Hi, Joe Cerami, the architect on the house.
Who's here early? Who's here early?
Go ahead.
This is a property that has existing house on it that we're demolishing. There's also a big commercial structure on it that we got a variance on.
Thank you for all the detail. Okay?
Very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Sorry. Good night.
There's an existing building on it that we're removing also that is commercial, and the client applied for a variance to get a cottage on the property with the pool house attached to it, and that was approved. Basically, the client wanted a traditional shingle-style layering roof house that has a lot of curb appeal.
Keep going. There you go. What's your side yard setback?
It's 42 feet total, 15 and 27.
And which side is the 15? As I'm looking at the house, as I'm looking at the...
It should be on the right side.
Right side, okay. And your roof materials?
It's all cedar shingle.
And the siding?
Siding is cedar.
And moldings?
Moldings would be white, cedar painted.
Okay, and the brackets under your midspan?
It's all white. Everything's white.
Okay, shutters?
Shutters are white.
Okay. Railings, mahogany, white?
Mahogany, white.
Okay. Columns?
Painted white columns.
Okay, so it's cedar roof, cedar siding, true divided lights?
True divided, the Marvin
6/1s, and then the front door is 12 light with 2 side lights?
Yes.
Okay, solid panels underneath, the eyebrow looks good for AutoCAD.
We want to talk about that second story deck.
Two of them.
Two of them.
At the rear of the house?
Yeah.
At the rear of the house. You have, obviously, second story decks are a sensitive topic in this village, most of which due to the privacy issues that it could, unfortunately, it comes up. So because of the side yard and the lack thereof of the privacy, we try to discourage second story decks.
Okay.
At least the accessibility of the second story deck, because you do build a home now that can intrude onto your neighbor's property. Side yard 24 and 27 at the rear. 24 feet, 27 feet.
Side yards is 15 and 27.
I thought
But if what's your rear, if you're standing up on the deck, this deck is what, 12 feet up?
Approximately, yeah.
Has to
Yeah,
be
10-foot ceiling height.
17 or 18 feet up. But how far to the rear yard as you're looking back? Is the property line?
From the deck itself?
Yeah, from the second floor.
It's probably, well, the pool's 40 feet, and there's another 20 foot for the...
60, 70 feet?
Yeah, it's
I
like
wouldn't
70
feel
feet.
comfortable. I don't know about, Christine? Sorry?
So,
Esther?
We've had this issue before, and we haven't approved any second
actually,
story deck.
We've approved them
a
with-
lot of them. And this is 60, 70 feet to the rear view. I think you've got
I'm
a
talking about
pool-
the side.
I'm sorry?
Talking about the side.
You're talking about the sides?
Yes.
Okay, so from the second floor deck, you have a build-out, although, I mean, from the house itself, you have 16 feet, but what is it from the railing to the property line? From the actual railing, from where you're standing to the property line, on the side yards?
So it's got to be another, well, on one side, it's a 6 foot, it's 6 feet in, so on one side, it would be probably 33 feet.
33 feet?
And the other side, more like, it's not going to be more than another couple of feet.
Got it. Okay, so you're about 20 feet on one side and
17
16
on
feet
the
on
other.
the other. And your garage?
Members, Christine? Is that?
As Esther said, we are not approving second-story decks.
This is the deck.
When you say privacy, you're talking about looking in from outside?
Your ability to overlook your neighbor's property.
Oh, I see. So even if
Your
we had
neighbor's
a,
enjoying
if we
the
had a covered porch that had a built-in balcony in it?
If
so
it was recessed. That's,
I mean, I have, could I show you?
Sure.
That was a preliminary elevation on the bottom drawing, where there was a covered porch and recessed into it were 2 balconies, so they would be set in even
Recessed.
further.
That would be a nice alternative.
Okay.
You could have your overall view of the backyard, which I'm sure that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, so it's a smaller porch, and it would be set in a little.
But you'd still have railings on it, or no?
There would be a shorter railing, because you
Just
have... the-
decorative?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a much better alternative.
And would you mark this? You're the architect, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have 2 of these?
No.
You don't.
Sorry.
Yes, so we would need to see just that alteration.
Okay.
I don't have any other issues with the overall aesthetics of the house. Christine, anything further?
No, that would be an important change.
We don't want
Okay.
to set any precedents that will be counter of what we've done
You
thus
can
far.
change the plan.
So we want to
Come
make
back
sure.
the next meeting.
Yeah, that's what we're referring to.
Yeah,
Esther, any
that would
comments?
be a
So
tremendous
would I
help,
have
yeah.
to come back to the board?
Yes,
Yes.
just with your
So could I-
alteration, unless you have another copy.
No, sorry. I just happen to have it in my case.
Yeah, any comments?
Yeah, I do, actually. The recessed, I don't see the difference here. You have a short wall here, so it still would be a balcony, correct?
There will be a balcony,
Yeah.
but it would be built into
Right, but
the
it'd be
roof, so it
walking
wouldn't be
your-
as
you'd be at
deep.
knee height.
You said,
here.
you said recess, so when I
Yeah,
say, when I
so-
get recess, I'm watching.
Nobody's walking
No one's
out.
walking out. There's-
Oh, no, I meant a balcony, but a much smaller one
Yeah, but,
that's set into the roof.
right.
Set
But
in-
it's still
you're
a
saying
balcony,
recess
guys.
into the roof. No, when I say
No.
recessed, I meant actually
Yeah,
recessed.
yeah, so look, I don't have any problems with balconies. I think in my view, I think a lot of times we should be a little more flexible with them. 70 feet to the back is fine. I agree with you with the inference that the side yard on one side is a little tight and so forth. But just for the record, this is still a balcony.
Yeah, so-
It's just
Oh,
three
so
quarters
Do you
of
sorry.
understand what we
shingle.
mean
Yeah,
by
yeah,
recess?
you thought I meant recess into the building.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
what we're looking for is.
All right, so the balcony is-
Just to step back for a minute. On the balcony, for the look of what I think you're looking for there, we have approved fixed units where the railing is purposely held lower, so it's
Yeah,
out of
no.
a code.
You
and it's
see how
decorative.
large this deck is?
But it's
Pam?
big. I was gonna go
Yeah,
there.
so-
But it's very large for that
I
reason.
guess-
Oftentimes, we'll suggest a smaller, lower balcony for other areas. But this is such a major portion of the house that are major,
So looking at reduction of the deck
size.
and recessed. If you're looking to access the deck, those are some of the things we've recommended.
Okay.
So that's something maybe you want to look into.
So basically, if they don't want to have a recessed area.
We do
That's
not
just
want someone walking out of their back
Invasion of
window
privacy.
and looking at their neighbors.
So that they
swimming
should just
in the
have a
pool.
covered porch.
However, there have been other things where the viewing to the rear, to me, I don't have any issues with it. However, the board has, in the past, done a panelization of one side or both sides to both enforce the privacy of the neighbors and also to allow them the flexibility as being landowners to be able to have that use as a balcony. There's 3 examples. 2 of them, one of them is on Herrick, one of them is on Little Plains, and one of them is on Toilsome. And one of the architects was out in East Hampton, but it's the panelization. The problem is that view from the side yard can look rather bulky and rather firm. So, but that would be the same balcony inset as it would have outside.
So we're looking for it inset and not walk out.
That's where I am. I don't know if the other boards.
So you're saying I could have a balcony that you can't access? Cannot access?
You can have a balcony you can't access, but
Right.
that's not what this board is asking. What the board's saying that you have your choice. Either a non-accessible deck or a recessed deck so that you're not looking peripherally at your neighbor's property.
Okay. Gotcha.
Anything further? Christine?
No.
Any questions about the architecture?
No, it's a beautiful
Yeah?
design.
No,
Thank you.
it's very handsome.
Do you have any questions of the board? So you'll be preparing that, you need time for the preparation?
2 weeks is plenty of time.
You're asking this board to adjourn for your preparation? All right. Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn for the alterations.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Mark and Carrie Ferrantino on 39 Islands Lane to adjourn to our next meeting.
No, you motion to approve the applicant's request to
Oh,
adjourn.
motion to approve the applicant's request to adjourn to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
You
you.
want this
Thank
back?
you.
Or do you want to put this in?
Thank you.
What's left on our agenda are the minutes from September 25th. All members present?
Well, Brian,
It's okay. Everyone had the opportunity to review. Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I actually did. I haven't had a chance to put in, there are a couple of things that aren't correct. Not that you were wrong or anything, but there are a few typos and so forth. Are we talking about the last set of minutes that came in?
Yeah, the really long one?
Yeah, I would really like to review that more.
Okay, you said there were typos?
About, yeah, a lot of them.
Okay, so-
Not just typos, but there are, it was a very busy and active meeting.
Yeah.
If you have a copy of it and you'd like to read it into the record right now, I can point out a few
That's,
things.
we're
No,
not going to.
we're
say
not
that.
doing
We need to
that.
do that.
You-
I read them,
you
I
won't
saw that.
Want me to hit you with
You
a
guys,
stick?
you guys have the
So-
majority, I'm fine. I
That's-
didn't have a chance to send any corrections.
Okay.
Okay.
Do
One
you
of the
guys have
things-
any issues with it?
Hold on, one of the things on the record was that if you could recuse me from the Hill Street one, the one that I asked to be recused on, you may have done that, 354 South Main. And I also believe that Brian Brady had recused from Mortimer as well. And he also recused from 40 Meadow Lane, which is not on the minutes, and those are kind of important to have.
I'll double check
Okay.
that for you.
yes, we should probably go through that again.
All
I'd
right,
like
so
to go
then we will
forward.
not, at this time, make any motions on the minutes from the last meeting.
It's just,
Motion to close the meeting for this evening. Motion to close the meeting?
I make a motion to close the meeting for the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, October 9th, 2013.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.